Good evening. We welcome you live into the studios of WMTY and WDEH here in Sweetwater, Tennessee. Glad you're with us tonight. I'm Brian Birchfield, joined along with Tommy Millsaps tonight, my co-moderator, and I didn't introduce Tommy in the first forum tonight, but everybody knows Tommy. Tommy spent, 20 years in print media here in the county. He's covered many Monroe County elections. So, Tommy, we appreciate you being here tonight. We appreciate Tommy's wife, Marie Millsaps, being our timekeeper tonight. Mark Latham is doing our camera work, and, of course, we have the tried and true Fargo in the studio back there running master controls as we do our second of two political forums tonight. We just finished up candidates for Monroe County Sheriff just a moment ago, and now we'll turn our attention to candidates for Monroe County Mayor. Now, these two gentlemen are running in the Republican primary. The winner of the primary race will then face independent candidate Tim Yates in the general election come August. And so make note of that. A little bit different than the sheriff's race, as they have no opposition in the sheriff's race come general election time. We do thank our sponsors tonight: Archer's Total Home Health Care, Fairweather Financial, Paramount Insurance Services, Self-Defense Solutions, Valley Insurance, and Volunteer Federal Bank. If you did not watch the previous forum, we'll go over what little rules that we have for people that are tuning in new tonight. We will ask the candidates questions. This is a forum. This is not a debate. This is not a back and forth between these two gentlemen. These guys are getting asked questions by two voters right here, and Tommy and myself, and they're responding in kind like they would to a voter, and they're directing their answers at you, the listeners, on WMTY and WDEH, as well as people watching on our Facebook page. Go to Oldies 98.3 WMTY and watch on Facebook. So not back and forth. This is not a debate. Each candidate will get a chance to answer the same question, and we will tell them, hopefully, if we don't forget, Tommy, how much time that they have to answer the question. When their time gets down to 30 seconds left, Marie will raise her hand and put it back down. When it gets to 10 seconds, Marie will raise her hand again and put it back down. When time is up, Marie will ring the bell. Maybe. When you hear the bell, guys, stop right in mid-sentence. We don't have time to carry out answers 30 seconds or so past time, okay? Everybody good?
Yeah.
We want to introduce our candidates. We have our incumbent, Monroe County Mayor Mitch Ingram, and the challenger, Richard Kirkland. Gentlemen, thank you for your time tonight. We appreciate, again, your willingness to serve this county, and we appreciate you coming over here and spending time with us tonight. And so we will start out, and same as our previous forum, we drew for numbers. Even though there was two guys, we drew for numbers to be fair, to decide which seat each candidate will sit in. Mitch drew number 1. That means he will lead off the first question, and then after that we will rotate back and forth who leads off each particular question, because leading off the question is a little bit more difficult. So we will start out with Mitch Ingram, the first question. Just take a minute here and just introduce yourselves and tell folks something about yourself that they may not know.
Okay. Well, I am Mitch Ingram, current county mayor, and spent 20 years in education, and decided in 2014 to run for county commission, and in 2018 decided to run for county mayor. And after serving county commission for those 4 years, it was a good foundation to springboard us into this position as far as the county government and the policies and procedures. And we, as far as what some people may not know, is I still live and work on our family farm in Madisonville. That's very true and dear to our hearts. So.
All right, thank you very much. Richard Kirkland, introduce yourself and tell folks something they may not know about you.
Thank you very much. Of course, my name's Richard Kirkland. Some folks may not realize it, but I did grow up in Tellico Plains, went to high school there, graduated there, live currently in Madisonville for quite a while now. I've been fortunate enough to represent the 2nd District as county commissioner for 14 years, in which I currently still do. Some of those years I was elected as chairman and got to do that role as well. One thing I kind of like to know, I was able to complete my education while working, going back at night, and completed my master's degree doing that as well at night. I have over 20 years manufacturing, production, distribution, supervisory experience in manufacturing and distribution. So some actually multi-million-dollar companies that worked with budgets. One thing too, I would say, working with the budget here, just not only one budget but all budgets for Monroe County.
All right, thank you. And one housekeeping item, had a few comments in our previous form about could hear Tommy and myself better than the candidates, and I'll just say, so people watching on Facebook, those mics are only as good as the volume of the candidates and how close they get to them. So we've turned them up some, but those guys talk a little louder and get closer to those mics, okay? Tommy Millsaps will lead off our first question, and this will go to Richard.
Are we doing 3 minutes on
Do
that?
3 minutes on this.
Okay. Richard, you're leading off. What do you see as the top issues facing Monroe County, and what are your plans to address them if elected as county mayor?
The top three that I see.
Yes, sir.
Well, I think the first one is obviously our youth. I've been hit many times on the campaign trail of, hey, what about our youth? When are we going to have something here for our youth to do, something outside of sports, little league, civic clubs? And my plan with that is to recruit very hard, anything from a bowling alley to a jump jam, something to keep those kids off of those games, sitting at home all the time. And, every kid can't play sports, so they need that opportunity just to go out, have a birthday party. I feel we're past overdue as far as being able to have an event. If you look around, every time we have an event, it's either at a school, the church, or the rescue squad. That's another need we need for the county. The second thing I think, is relationships. I want to be in a support role from the county for the cities. I feel that the stronger the cities are and the county together as one, we will succeed more. The third one, of course, I want to make sure our industries and our current businesses are as strong as they can be by helping those in whatever needs they may need. There's a ton of grants out there, so we need to make sure they're aware of them. It's okay just to get by, but sometimes it's nice to have that good feeling, hey, we can count on our local people to survive as a business here. And those are probably my three biggest, but I still have a lot more things that need to get done. I'm a big believer in teamwork. I think that's crucial across this county to what we need. Whether it be Sweetwater and Tellico, I want to tear down that so-called ridge and work together, Sweetwater, Massville, Tellico, Vonore, to succeed. They all make up this county, and that's kind of where I want to go with it.
All right, thank you. Repeat the question for Mitch.
Mitch, what do you see as the top issues facing Monroe County, and what are your plans to address them?
3 minutes.
Okay. Well, I think in the last 2 years we've seen an economic boom in this county, and as we continue to look forward down the road in the future in the next 10 years, I think our infrastructure in this county is going to demand that it be expanded and utilized and improved. And that is, we still have folks in this county that don't have clean drinking water. And that's something that their office has started to work on, and we want to expand that as time goes on. We seen in 2020 when our school system went remote that broadband was an issue in a lot of our county, and there's still gaps in our county today, and we want to continue to enhance and fill those gaps so every home can have an opportunity to have affordable internet. And we know that there are some economic broadband rural grants that are available now that our providers are competing for as we sit here tonight. Our workforce obviously is a situation, an issue, and certainly it was just announced today and yesterday that one of our local companies, one of our largest employer, is thinking outside the box. They're reinvesting in our county, but they're also reinvesting in their employees, and I want to make sure that we help and encourage and lend a hand in that. Affordable housing. When we talk about workforce, we have to talk about affordable housing. And just the industries this came in the past year, we're looking at 4,500 jobs. And we only have a labor pool with a 2.8% unemployment rate of about 500 people right now. So when those regional jobs are in Monroe County, those folks are looking not only to quality schools, but they're looking to affordable housing. However, when we expand and we talk about all these great things in the future, one thing that I want to make sure that I do is protect our rural way of life. I'm proud to come from a rural county. Monroe County is special to all of our hearts, And I love our friends in Blount County and Sevier County, but I don't think many people want to be a Sevier County here. But we do have to provide some things. And I agree with Richard, our youth, and we've started to take steps in some cooperation with looking at some possibilities for that for the future. I know in downtown Madisonville with possibly, and it's certainly just a possibility right now of maybe some county facilities that need to be gone, the old jail, for example. So certainly our youth is always a priority in the county.
Thank you, gentlemen. You're listening to candidates for Monroe County Mayor in the Republican primary, and let's follow back up on that. Let's keep the same lead off. So, Richard, you'll lead this. I guess this will be B part of this question,
Sure.
because we've got a lot of issues that you believe are facing the county. But then, guys, come back and tell us what you're going to do to address those. So, Richard, you've got 2 more minutes to tell us how you're going to address the issues that you brought up that you said Monroe County was facing.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, again, it wouldn't be easy, but it would be a task to go after companies, businesses to come in here. You know, how many times has somebody told me, look at the old Walmart building? I said, what's it just sitting there for? Well, a lot of people may not know that Ingalls actually owns that. So, you know, there's opportunity there. You know, we do have some county property we could do. We have to make it some kind of incentive. If nobody's going to come here, maybe give them a little incentive to come here. Hey, maybe we waive your taxes for a year. Something. I mean, people hadn't come here for a reason, so we got to add a little motivation to do that. And the mayor's correct with the water grants. The water grants, we do that every year through the CBDG grant. That's something we try to reach out and get done. The infrastructure is also key. We'll have to address that. But, you know, something simple as a expo center. How would I go get that? I would, you know, through sponsors, grants. And, you know, sometimes when you're taxing the people a lot, you got to use those taxes to benefit them. And you got to explain, we're going to use this tax money, but we're going to see this return. You know, it may be 5 years down the road, but we'll see a return. People coming here spending those sales tax dollars on gas, hotels, eating out. And, you know, it can be a controlled growth. I don't think a lot of people in Monroe County, as the mayor said, don't want a boom. But I think we could do it and make it happen. Economic growth, you know, I think it's scary the last 2 years because we've had a lot of financial help from the federal government to something I would not depend on. I would keep status quo and rely on the money that we know that we have, because that federal money's not going to be here.
All right, thank you. Same thing to you, Mitch. You mentioned several things that you thought were facing Monroe County. So now give me 2 minutes and talk to some of those things and how you would address those.
Okay, let's start with the youth. Just this past county commission meeting and workshop, the county commission, and Richard, a part of that, we chose to move forward, allowing the East Tennessee Development District to create a 5 to 10 year plan, a county plan that involves all 4 municipalities plus the county, to start to addressing our youth needs. And it's so different today than when I was growing up and when Richard is growing up, what the kids and our youngsters like today. Obviously, esports and electronics and technology and all those things. So those type things, we have to think outside the box. Mm-hmm. Back to the economic development side, industry and growth, we have to be a support staff. But one thing that I want to be a champion for is our current employers, our current industries, to provide them support. You know, it's great to recruit someone that's got a pulse into Monroe County, but we also need to take care of our companies that's been here for 30 years and not overlook them and offer those incentives and maybe some tax breaks as well. So those are the things that we can do. As far as affordable housing, I think that falls directly on our municipalities and our county planning departments, making sure that it's quality housing, that we follow the letter of the law, we don't take shortcuts, because in this county we've been backed against a wall in some situations where there's been some poor planning decisions on infrastructure and subdivisions, and unfortunately county government and our citizens are having to pay for that. So we have to really be on top of our game when it comes to planning for the future of these developments.
All right, thank you. And just I'm kind of ad-libbing here a little bit. So I'm feeding off some things you guys are saying, so just hang with me. And just real quick follow-ups, specifically a thing each of you all said, and these are not gotcha questions. These are just diving into more of how you guys think. And Mitch, you kind of touched on something I was going to follow back up on with Richard, and I have the note here. Richard, you talked about in order to recruit, possibly giving new industry tax breaks or tax incentives.
Right.
How would you handle then a existing industry that's been here for 10 years that says, okay, where's my tax break? Would you be willing to give current industry tax break as well?
Yeah, actually, there's already a program in place for that if it's utilized. When they buy new equipment, expansion, they're eligible for what we call a pilot program that they can continue to apply for. I think many people may not even realize we have that, but the pilot program is designed to give a tax abatement for up to 10 years. And what it does, it waives the property tax, but it still includes the school tax. So schools will still receive their money, but we do not provide that for them. I say provide. We do not. We waive the property tax. But yeah, the current businesses can do it. That's just like, there's a facade, a tourism grant that applies to businesses that they can apply for. There's more things out there, but making them aware of it and do it. And sometimes they have to put a little of their own skin in the game to get that. And but it's well worth it. Sometimes it's 75-25 match, but they can be helped.
All right, thank you. And Mitch, there's a lot of talk about housing crisis, a lot of mention of affordable housing.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned that. Could you just define what affordable housing is?
Well, affordable housing in 2022 is not the same as it was in 2018, for sure. Quality homes. I don't know if you can put a price tag on a particular home, but when a family moves into an area, they want the amenities of infrastructure, city water, sewer, broadband internet, and they want safe neighborhoods too. It's not only the house, the lumber, the brick and mortar of the facility itself, it's all those amenities that go with it. And we as a county need to make sure that we enhance and attract those particular developments and subdivision. Again, going back to our planning department, that we're on top of our game on offering all those.
All right, thank you. And Tommy, let's skip down to keep with the theme here. Go ahead and with that question there, if you would, sir.
Okay, and is that going to be
This will be Richard.
Richard?
Yeah, 2 minutes.
2 minutes, Richard? What challenges does population growth present the county, and what do you think the county needs to do to address those?
Population growth, I think just in the services that we provide. We supply ambulance service, sanitation, 22 departments I think alone fall under the mayor's office, and most of those are service oriented. So it's a thing. We are growing. I think the next census we'll probably bust 50,000 wide open. We thought we would this time, but it only happens every 10 years. So we got to make a plan to anticipate that growth and make sure we have the tools in place to do it. Because you don't want to be reactive. You got to be proactive and see it coming. Many times we tend to talk about stuff, but we never take action to do it. And I'm the type that wants to, hey, let's plan for that. Let's see it coming. Make sure we're in place to handle any type of thing that hits us through that growth as well. And that's a good thing too, is like housing. It's not only new industry comes in here, but people that's moving here. We've seen a crazy growth from people from out west. If you look at the tag office where people's registering tags, probably 90% of the new people is moving in here from Florida and California. California probably being the biggest one. So, even though I say it's a 10-year thing, I think we would have to start planning right now to say, how are we going to handle this? And of course, with all that, we got to look at new ways also to generate other types of revenue. It can't always be the property tax that we hit property owners with. We got to look at other avenues of that, whether it be some way to increase our sales tax by providing more businesses coming in here and sharing the burden of that tax to increase that revenue. We got to be creative in how we do that. But then again, that's not the mayor's office, that's the commission's. But we've got to have that mayor be able to say, hey, think about this, guys. And with 14 years experience on that commission, I think I've seen the good, the bad, and the in-between, and there's ways to do it.
All right, thank you. Tommy, if you care to go ahead and re-ask that.
Mitch. Thank you. Same question. What challenges does population growth present to the county, and what do you think the county needs to do to address those challenges?
Well, let's go back to the census itself. And Richard touched on that we felt that we would be close to 50,000. And we all know the census occurred during the middle of COVID. So it's debatable whether those numbers are accurate. I think the final numbers were a shade over 47,000 in Monroe County. But if you get on Highway 68 or 411, you kind of wonder how many people are on those roads every day. But one thing that I think that this county has failed to do for years, and I think that everyone in this room would agree with that, is we have never looked for the future. We've always just reacted and put a Band-Aid on a possible dam break is what we've done. And we have to look, every decision that we make, we have to consider, what's this going to look like 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road? And when it comes to infrastructure, again, obviously, the new facility that's here in Sweetwater, Tennessee, Red Stag, has changed the infrastructure game for the entire county. And we're using some of our ARP money to help supplement that. And when it comes to the affordable housing, and again, the services, our ambulance service, we have to support our sheriff department. And again, it is funding from the county commission in a lot of aspects, but anytime you have a population growth, it comes with growing pains. And that's something that we're experiencing right now. We're experiencing great growth, but it also comes with growing pains. We've got to have roads paved. We've got to have teachers in our classrooms. Unfortunately, like the sheriff's candidates talked about, we have to have larger facilities to detain them in. So we always have to plan for the future, and I think that's something that our office is certainly looking to do.
All right, thank you. We'll go to our next question, and Mitch, you'll lead this one off. And this is kind of an open-ended question. There's a lot of talk about the county's debt level. Mm-hmm. Depending on who you ask, that number changes, but it's somewhere in the neighborhood of $78 million, the county debt. I just want to hear you talk about, is that a problem or is that manageable? 2 minutes.
Okay. Well, first thing, our county debt is basically based on two situations. One, we all know the current situation is the Justice Center, okay? That is the most recent debt. But prior to that was all school debt from poor business decision made in the mid-1990s that we're still paying for today. Both of those have accumulated our county debt, and that is something. Is it manageable? Yes, it is manageable. But unfortunately, because of bad business decisions, it's cost the taxpayers money, and it's really hindered us from building new schools. I mean, we have 3 schools that need built right now. Okay, Sweetwater High School needs remodeled. Tellico Junior High needs a new school. Madisonville Middle needs a new school. And I think everyone on the county commission, everyone on the school board, the mayors, I think everyone would want to do that, but we are so hindered by bad business decisions from the 1990s. And, we just have to keep paying down that debt, keep paying down that debt, and keep paying down that debt. And that's one thing that we have been able to do along with the county commission. Every time we get an opportunity to refinance at a lower interest rate, we do that every single time. And everyone would do that with their personal finances, and we do that with our county finances too. We can't pay these debts off any earlier. Again, bad business decision that the county commission currently, our office and finance are dealing with, but it is manageable, and believe it or not, we're chipping away. Now, obviously, the Justice Center has added another layer, but we know that was a situation where none of us that's here that's responsible for, nor depending on the mayor or the sheriff, or it was going to happen regardless.
All right, thank you. Same question coming to you, Richard. The county debt, is it a problem or is it manageable? You have 2 minutes.
Well, being on the county commission for the past 14 years, like I said, it has had its up and downs. A couple of tax raises haven't been popular. Wheel tax hasn't been popular. And it's manageable, but I'd like to attack that and get that down to a level to where when we do need to go build those schools, when we do need to go do something, have that plan in place to where it's, if it's $30 million project, now it's we got $10 million saved. We're only having to borrow $20 million, for example. A part of that is planning, and I'll give you an example. There's a pod sitting out at the Justice Center that's empty. It's empty. It's a big gravel pit. Many times I tried to get the commission to approve to finish that to house another 40 or 50 inmates. You know, we get returned on the bond board when that happens. It's still sitting out there, a big gravel pit with a roof over it. It never happened. It would have cost us around $1.5 million to do that. I checked maybe last year, it's close to $3.5 to $4 million now to finish that pod, which is ridiculous when it should have been done. So decisions like that, that's what hinders the county. Mm-hmm. It really does, you know. I'm the type, like I said earlier, I like to not only talk about it, but I like to at least put a plan in place, take action in some shape or form. If you can't do it, so be it, but don't say we didn't try to do it. So that's the approach I'd like to have. And, you know, there's like the mayor said, we have refinanced multiple times, lowered some debts, lowered some payments, got some things paid off, and, you know, we just do what we can to lower that. But we've got to ease that burden on the taxpayer as well.
All right, thank you. And I'll ask another question here. I'm going to ask it. This is a question I'm going to ask is a yes or no question. Okay, I have both of you answer yes or no. Then I'll come back with a follow up on this same question. Okay. Now I'm actually going to have Mitch lead this one off again because I think I made a mistake earlier and Richard led 2 off in a row. So Mitch, you're going to lead 2 off in a row.
That's fine. That's fine.
All right. So both of y'all answered that question about county debt in a way that you understand. You believe it's a problem, but you think it's manageable. Okay. Am I correct in saying that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Are increased taxes needed to get the county debt under control? Yes or no, Mitch?
No.
Richard? No. Okay. So now my follow-up, if no's the answer, which both said no, then if that debt is manageable, give us specifics on how you manage that debt and get it more under control. So give me 2 minutes on that, please.
Okay. Increased revenue is one, and we have been very fortunate in the last couple of years to have increased revenue, not from necessarily a tax increase, but we've got an additional $1 million that's come into the county for internet sales tax, and that's been a huge shot in the arm, which has increased our fund balance. And along with the support of the county commission, we were able to set aside nearly $4 million for a capital project. Again, that will go directly to pay debt off or to a new school or whatever. It goes back to being good managers. I don't think that there's any question that every elected official and every department head is a good steward of taxpayers' money. I think that's obvious by the end of the year. The money that they return back to the general fund balance, I believe, in our budget meeting this Monday night, Finance said that there was approximately $1.3 million turned back over to the fund balance from our last fiscal year. That's being good stewards. That's money that we have to springboard us into the next budget year without a tax increase. Obviously, I know your sheriff candidates mentioned it, last forum. We're looking at nearly an 8% inflation rate right now. So that's going to create extra challenging times. But when it comes to this, it takes about being good stewards of the money, and I think our county is doing that. I don't think anyone is out there just wasting money. And I think that's a misnomer that we all defend. Even the county commission defends that, and they see that. They see the numbers that no one is wasting money. So revenue from that, revenue from business, property tax from all these new industries and business coming in, that's going to be commercial and industrial property tax that they're paying, which 40% of that will go directly to the school system to help their revenue. So those are the type things that will help increase revenue.
Thank you, Mitch. And Richard, we'll come back to you and follow up on talking about if increased taxes are needed to get the county debt under control. You said no, but you said that debt's manageable. 2 minutes. How do you manage that debt?
Of course, Mitch hit on as well. We do need to increase revenue, but I just received some information. For the last 2 years, the county budgets has returned $7 million of unspent money. Whether it was over budgeted or for whatever reason, they did not need it. So that type of money tells me that's money on top of money that we could have used somewhere else. So fortunately, like we were able to set almost $4 million aside. We need to really go through those budgets. And let me give you an instance. The highway department budget come up requesting almost $2 million, which is out of his control in addition, right? So within that, majority of it's material. Some months went up 100%. Okay, we have to make that decision. Are we going to do what we did last year, pay 5 miles of road, or do we spend $2 million and spend another 10 million or 10 miles, 5 additional miles. You know, it's a tough decision, but does the taxpayer understand that? I think we have to relay that message. It's not, even though it's about the dollars and taxes, people need to understand why the money situation is what it is. You know, we either do 5 roads or we increase the budget, for example, $2 million to pay 5 more miles. I don't think people would go for that. They'd say, let's get what we do, let prices stabilize, and then maybe go back with the original budget from previous year and add to it and get things done. But, you know, projects, industries, you're lucky to get 1 in 10 years, like Red Stag that comes into your county. So that's why you got to look at the smaller businesses, do what we can do to help increase their revenue, support them 100%, not only during an election year, but every year. That's the way I look at that, because, you know, they're there. They're one of us, so to speak. They're here every day with us. So I would definitely be one of my priorities to take care of our local businesses.
All right, thank you. You're listening to Political Forum right here on WMTY and WDEH with our candidates for Monroe County Mayor in the Republican primary. We got Mitch Ingram and Richard Kirkland. And now you guys have both touched on various ways, school facilities, you've talked with roads. And so now Tommy's got a couple of specific questions coming your way.
As Brian said, I guess Richard is next again. And a couple of minutes on this one. As specific as you can be, and I know you work with the county commission and obviously the school board on this one, but in your opinion, what's the exact state of the school facilities? What would your priorities be, maybe in order of improving them? And what can you as county mayor do, working with the county commission and the school board, to get that agenda going?
Well, the schools, there are some that's in dire need. I'm sorry, I hope me
Yeah,
go
you're
first.
late. Yeah.
There are some that needs, and you know, come from an industrial background. You look at preventive maintenance, what maybe things could have been done to help these schools maybe last longer. I think it's a hand-in-hand relationship. The mayor's office can, I think, have a better presence with that Board of Education to go to those meetings. Not only those meetings, to meet with people outside of those to say, hey, what's going on today? You know, tell us what's happening, because, you know, if we don't know about it, we can't help fix it. It's tough. You know, when you talking about the kids, it's really tough. Nobody wants to leave a kid out of nothing. But we need to also provide the facilities for them as well, along with the good teachers, all the above that falls under that. And I think there was a little bit more to your question. What was the last part?
Hey, I think you're hitting on it. Maybe specific order schools. Do you have a specific order, like we need to hit this school, or is it 2 or 3 at the same time?
I don't, but you know, I think that responsibility falls back to the school board. But at the same time, I want to be part of that. I want to know what that decision you made, and not only the decision you made, but why you made it. You know, was it the walls falling down, the roof's leaking? You know, let's just not put a patch on something. If A needs it worse than B, let's not fix B first. We'd have to prioritize that and do what we can as money allows too. You know, there might be times when we have to put a Band-Aid on something, but we got to put steps in place working with the Board of Education, because as a commission, we can give them $100 million, but we can't tell them what to do with it. So that's always, I don't know if people realize that, but we can give them $100 million, but they decide where it goes.
All right, thank you. Go ahead and re-ask that for Mitch.
I'll re-ask that for Mitch. I know it's a little bit of a whiny one, but what?
3-4 part.
we 8 part. We circled back to it. Is that the joke now? What, in your opinion, if you could rank the top school needs, and obviously we've touched on that, you work with the county commission and school board, but what can you do as county mayor to say, hey, let's get this going, or let's work on this in a certain time frame?
Well, outside of brick and mortar, I think there's a lot of needs and a lot of ways we can support. I was in a classroom for 20 years. My wife's still in a classroom, and I get to hear the stories and the needs of what our teachers are heroes. I mean, our bus drivers, our custodians, our maintenance, everyone that works with our children, those people have the responsibility of the most precious people on the face of the earth, and that's our children. I mentioned the 3 schools that I think that are in dire need, but again, that is a direction of the county school system maintenance, the director of schools, and the school board. It is our job to support them when that funding comes up. You know, I've just been reviewing the governor's new BEP formula funding plan, which I totally agree with. It is a different aspect as far as the funding, and it'll look different for our county and Sweetwater City schools too. But also it goes beyond the brick and mortar. It goes into the CTE programs and partnering with them and supporting them, and you know, the athletic facilities and all the community efforts, and it's a broad spectrum other than building schools. But our job as far as the county government side, the mayor's office, is to be a support role, is to be a champion for our school system, because I'm going to tell you, all these people that are moving into Monroe County from, you know, an industry perspective or even a residential perspective, they're interested in our schools. That's the, you know, they ask two questions when they come in. What kind of crime rate do you have, and what kind of schools do you have? And I'm pretty proud of both of them in Monroe County, but we can certainly support them going into the future.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. And Tommy has another specific question here about things that have been mentioned so far, and we'll do let's do 2 minutes on this one.
2 minutes. I think this is Mitch again. And obviously, I know, you know, county road paving is always an issue, but I want to get specific about state projects here. Is there a particular road project that you would push the state to get started or completed? I know the state's had a tough time with COVID funding from gas tax, but what would you, in an RPO meeting, what particular road project that the state handles do you think needs to be prioritized and pushed?
Highway 72 and 322, I think, in the Von Orr area is a priority, especially with our industrial section of the county there. They've been planning that all my life, Tommy, and have not put the first shovel in the ground. It seems that we're moving closer, and when we go to those RPO meetings and the planning meetings, we keep moving up the list. And right now, according to TDOT, we're at the top of the list. Of course, we know that state government moves at a snail's pace, and I know that I want to give kudos to Representative Lowell Russell. He's been a champion of help spurring that on and getting us in a better position for that particular stuff. But no question about it, that's the top priority, because those folks in that area of the county have been waiting on this for 40 or 50 years. And our office has been working with Lowell and that community, and I think currently the state is looking to buy some properties right now, and so they're going through the process. So we're inching closer, but we're not there yet.
Richard, I'll ask you that same question. A particular road project, as far as that the state would handle, what's your priorities? What will you push for them to start or complete?
I think I would actually start with Highway 72. Highway 322, even Mayor Lowe has pushed that hard for years. And the reason I say 72, you know, either going in or leaving at 6 a.m., 5 o'clock on, there's almost 5,000 employees coming in and out of that park, and it can be a nightmare. There's two red lights, two on 72 and one on Highway 411. It's just awful. And, you know, being late for work, people don't like to do it. They don't like to be it. So that would be one of my things. But however, as I ride down 411, even in Madisonville, and I come up to headlights on those state roads, it's jar your teeth out as you come up to a red light. And those are DOT meetings that we're a part of, that you go up and you meet with a group and you get prioritization on what needs to be done. And for each person that goes there, they get a vote. So you need to make sure you're there at those meetings so your county gets a vote on what needs to be fixed. Something as simple as that, I can take you to two and drive you right now. They'll just jar your teeth out, which is terrible for the money we spend for road projects. But, you know, taking care of that 72 would be ideally to get those people in and out of work home safely.
Thank you. You're listening to Political Forum right here on WMTY and WDEH with Republican primary candidates for Monroe County Mayor. We've got Mitch Ingram, the incumbent, and the challenger, Richard Kirkland. I want to thank our sponsors who have made this broadcast possible tonight: Archer's Total Home Health Care, Fairweather Financial, Paramount Insurance, Self-Defense Solutions, Valley Insurance, and Volunteer Federal Bank. Touch on a question here. This would seem to be a hot button issue around the county for a little while. And we'll touch on it briefly, give you a minute to answer, and Richard, we'll start with you. You luck of the draw.
Okay.
Got because you guys both have been involved, would be involved in this issue. Have the concerns surrounding the animal shelter been handled at this point, or does the county need to do more?
Let me go.
A minute, yeah.
Yes, at this point, I believe so. You know, that was a battle back and forth. There was misconception everywhere from the commission wanting to shut down the center to building a new center to just getting out of it altogether. You know, Mitch did some work with the McFaw, and we was able to come to agreement to build a new facility. And, you know, it still, from a county dollar-wise, cost us around $200,000 to run that shelter when it's built to help with operations. You know, that's a tough. I love my animals, but that's a tough battle to get into, if you want to call it a battle. But at some point, you know, maybe those operations can be self-sufficient to where we can back off and contribute a little need. For example, McMinn County donates to their city animal shelter like $40,000 a year, but we're at $200,000. So, you know, it's kind of tough, but it's something that has to be done.
Thank you, Mitch. To you, have the concerns surrounding the animal shelter been handled at this point, or does the county need to do more? 60 seconds.
Much better than a couple years ago. We're in a much better state. McFall's on a very solid ground, and you know, we're looking at moving in that transition where the county actually gets less involved in the operations and that sort of thing. And of course, they're getting ready to build a new facility. The city of Madisonville, they went through the planning process and have that approved. They have secured some property. And, you know, I think it's important, just like Richard said, that we can't put humans behind animals, but obviously animal control, adoption, all those things are huge in our county. And I want to thank our partners in McFall and the volunteers for what they do to help supplement the county. That facility out there is a horrid facility, and we've made it better over time, at least livable, till this transition happens.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Tommy's up with the next question, and Mitch will lead this one off. And let's do 2 minutes on it.
Okay. And again, you've touched on this some, so I'll add a little bit to this question. What steps are you taking, or if elected, would you take to attract more retail and business and industry to the county? And also, if you want to touch on this, tourism, what steps are you or would you take to increase tourism?
I'll address the industrial part first. Obviously, that we've talked about it in our previous conversation. There is tax abatements. There are incentives for some small businesses as well as industry, and I think that we have to encourage them. And we always, one thing that our office has done, you know, we do our weekly spotlight on a business just to try to give them an added boost in advertising. Maybe somebody that's trying to get their feet off the ground. Got to understand, in the small business world, 1 out of every 7 business survives to the 3rd year. So that first 2 or 3 years is very challenging, and especially times like COVID, it even is more challenging. So we have to make sure that our office, along with the Chamber of Commerce, partners and works hand in hand, providing them the resources that they need, not only abatements and incentives, but some other things. Tourism. I think last year we attracted 3 million people to Monroe County, if you can believe that. And certainly tourism brings in revenue. And our hotel motel tax has had a 25% increase in the last couple of years, which again, we've talked about increasing revenue. So we're doing those things, but when we have those additional visitors, that comes with some growing pains. But again, the tourist is a direct benefit to our small businesses. They come, they eat, they dine, they stay. Work, play, and stay in Monroe County is one of our slogans, and that's what we're trying to do. We want people to shop. We want people to stay, eat, all those type things.
Thank you. Go ahead and ask that again to Richard, please.
Richard, what steps are you taking or would you take to attract more retail businesses and industry and also increase tourism?
2 minutes.
Well, it's tough to increase industrial. You got to put Monroe on the map, and by doing that, I think it's the reputation, you know, the safety, the school system. We've got to be number one in those to make that company want to come here. The incentives are already in place. You just got to make sure you know that they want them. Some companies don't even apply for them. They don't feel like they need to, but they are there. But they got to know about them. Our locals already, I think you just got to hit on it every day. You know, you've got to have a plan in place to try to help them as much as you can. I think the Merchant Association, Sweetwater's got a strong one. Massville's working on one. I'm not sure about Tellico and Von Orr, but you know, they all could probably do a county merchants association and work together to see what everyone's needs is instead of just the one. Hey, how's it going? Let's make a county one. It's not easy recruiting. You got to sell it. Getting retail in, you know, they look at numbers. You know, that's why you don't see a big hotel in Tellico Plains. They look at numbers. They say it's seasonal, and that's why we don't have that yet. But you know, it could happen. You just got to see maybe the big picture of it. On the tourism side, it's fantastic. You know, it's a great place to live. You know, maybe we take things for granted sometimes. You know, Ball River Falls, stuff like that. Green Cove, Indian Boundary. Give you that for example. You know, maybe we put to help our locals. We talk with the Forest Service and let them let our locals have first choice at July 4th week. You know, why not? They're here year round. Give them a little break. So things like that. We just got to help the people that's here first. And do what we can to bring in retail. Retail's not easy. It's not easy. Look at the numbers.
Thank you. A lot's been talked about industry, and so this will be kind of a quick hitter question here as we begin to wrap up the evening, and we'll start with Richard on this 60-second answer. What would you do, and what is the county currently not doing that you think needs to improve when it comes to recruiting industry?
Well, the biggest thing, you know, the department was cut pretty bad in 2020. That we had a department designated for that, which now falls on the mayor. So how much emphasis can you really put on that? Imagine 22 departments and trying to recruit at the same time. I don't know how successful that is. A lot of things come from the state, you know, directly to you, requesting information. You know, you got to have that person in place, that go-to person. Not only that, there's a lot of connections in Nashville to make things happen. And you got to have that person in touch with them, because if Monroe County has that person there, when a grant comes up, whether an infrastructure grant, a site prep grant, a railway grant, you need that person with those connections to make it happen, to get that money from Monroe County. We're a Tier 3 county, which means we're at stress. Or, not distressed, but at risk. That's how it determines how much money you get through your grants.
All right, thank you. So, Mitch, I'll pose that to you. Currently, right now, what are some things that you would like to improve on when it comes to recruiting industry, and maybe some things you would like to add to that if elected to another term? 60 seconds.
I think there's a misnomer about economic development that it's just industrial recruiting. I think there's a lot of aspects to economic development. It's small business, it's industry, it's utilities, it's the Chamber of Commerce, and I think we have been successful in economic development in the last couple of years, and I think we've seen that recently. What we need to do moving forward, again, I mentioned it earlier, we need to support, I think, retention. You know, these companies are they're in a dog-eat-dog world right now with their workforce. They're having to raise, we have people jumping from one boating company to the other because of a sign-on bonus and those. So we have to support our current businesses, not just recruit new ones, but support our ones that's here that are established. And again, it may be a capital investment abatement and so on and so forth in the future.
All right, thank you very much. And, gentlemen, that'll bring us to our final question of the night. And it's kind of an open-ended question. And so we'll start with Mitch on this one. Why would you do a better job than your opponent?
Okay.
2 minutes to wrap it up.
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight. Obviously, I feel that my wide variety of experience in a lot of different areas, not just county government, from being on county commission and first term as mayor, would make me a qualified candidate, but also the experience I've had in the school system. I'm a citizen of Monroe County. I'm a taxpayer of Monroe County, a big taxpayer of Monroe County. I roll my sleeves up every day. I get dirt under my fingernails, and I go to work every day. When I first started this in 2018, I did it not because of money, just because I love the county that I live, I grew up, and I continue to work in. And I've said it before. I'm not a career politician. I don't intend to do this for 20 years. We were hampered a little bit for two things in our first term. One, building the Justice Center, which we had great support, and we accomplished that along with the sheriff. Number two, we dealt with COVID. But still, we were able to accomplish a lot of great things along with our county commission, along with some great partnerships in our cities and our towns, and more importantly, our great citizens. So that's why I feel I just want to continue the forward progress that we've got going, growing in the right manner, key word, in the right manner, and still focusing on the future 10 years down the road with every decision that we make.
Thank you. Richard Kirkland, the final word. Why would you do a better job than your opponent? You got 2 minutes.
Well, I'm going to go, first of all, right back to the economic industrial question. You know, we probably have less than 100 acres now available in Monroe County on property that would be available if I wanted to come in and start a huge business. So we don't even have plans to reach out and buy new property. But I would start with my experience as county commission. As I said before, I've not only looked at one budget in this county, I've looked at every budget for 14 years and made those tough decisions. Do we cut this or we let it go? And that means a lot. You know, you got to do, even though you represent a district, you got to do what you think's best for the county. And that's what I want. That's what the emphasis I would put on. I'm about leadership, teamwork, and that communication. Again, I'll go back to the cities. I want to establish that teamwork. I want the county to be in a support role of each city. I want to be there standing with you when you need me. I don't want to be there when something happens and you get to take my picture. I'm not about that. I want to, I'll lead by example. I'll hold employees accountable because the taxpayers are the ones that pays them people's salary. They need to understand that. And through my experience in management and, you know, meeting quotas, production, you know, if you don't get something out the door in time, there's a reason why. And we always would dive into those issues and see what caused that. But on the, I am who I am. You get what you get when you look at me. I believe in having a common sense approach. I believe in communication. I want to work with the school system and the cities to be as strong as we can. The sheriff's department, I want to continue a great relationship with that sheriff's department because that's key. I know things about that sheriff's department, about the how it operates, the money side of it, what they need, what they don't need. And, you know, it's sad that sometimes we pay $12.88 to start in a jail to people to risk their life watching people that's locked up. It's really sad at this day and time we do that.
All right. Thank you. We'll have to end it right there. That's Richard Kirkland, the challenger. We've had Mitch Ingram, the incumbent, both those gentlemen running in the Republican primary for Monroe County Mayor. Early voting begins April the 13th. It runs through April the 28th. And then primary election day on Tuesday, May 3rd. Gentlemen, both of you, thank you for your time. Thank you for being here. And good luck to both of you in your campaign. I want to thank our sponsors one more time who have made this series of forums possible this week. Archer's Total Home Health Care, Fairweather Financial, Paramount Insurance, Self-Defense Solutions, Valley Insurance, and Volunteer Federal Bank. I'll turn to my co-moderator this week. Tommy, I've enjoyed it, and thank you for your help.
Thank you. Thank you, Brian. I've enjoyed it. Appreciate the candidates. It's not an easy job to do. Appreciate you stepping forward and doing it.
I also want to thank our timekeeper tonight, Miss Marie Millsaps. Gentlemen helping us with our camera work this week, Mark Latham, of course, Fargo back there at Master Controls. And I encourage everybody to get out and vote. Again, early voting begins April the 13th. I'm Brian Birchfield saying good night, everybody.